everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Innovation Nation podcast, where we help entrepreneurs make the first step or the next big leap in their entrepreneurial journey. With us today to help us with this is Mr. Donald Bercasio, who is the Business and Entrepreneurial Development Manager of the National Development Foundation of Dominica, NDFD. He heads the department responsible for business support services, training, and providing marketing assistance to small business owners. He's also the lead strategist and chief imagineer of Madhouse Group, a business, community, and organizational development consulting group based in Dominica. Today, we'll be talking about generating ideas and implementing them as well. So, if you are a new entrepreneur or someone who wants to get their hands dirty in the business world, this is the episode for you. So, without further ado, I'd like to welcome our guest, Mr. Donald Bercasio. Donald, welcome to the show.
Hey, good morning, Kevin. How are you doing? Sakafet? Tubag idea?
Voilà. Idea. What's going on, Donald?
Kind of rainy, but we are thankfully we are inside the office. But we wish everybody well. So far so good.
What is Chief Imagineer, and why did you go ahead and that too?
Kevin, Madhouse Consulting is all about exquisite madness. It's mad, but it's exquisite. Something that solves problems, addresses untapped demands, and really paves the way for development in a unique and exciting way. Right? Chief Imagineer because there is what I like to call method to the madness, so to speak. And that method is what I call iMADgineer. So IMAD, and engineering. So that's the method, imagineering. So imagineering is basically a portmanteau to the three components of our approach, which are imagination, right? Engineering, and of course the quote unquote secret ingredient, the madness, right?
I know that helping businesses ideate and to be successful is a key part of what you do. So, just for our viewers' knowledge, could you explain to us what is ideation?
Yeah, of ideation, Kevin, is really the process of generating, developing new ideas, right? So it involves, of course, brainstorming, conceptualizing, so meaning crystallizing that particular idea or a number of ideas, and refining potential solutions to a problem or opportunities for improvements. So that basically is ideation for me.
Are there any considerations or constraints that entrepreneurs need to consider when first developing an idea?
You know, Definitely, constraints are always there. Whether you are a small business owner or a big time entrepreneur, right? But first and foremost, you have to nail down the ideation process. And one of the first, actually, the first thing that you should do is to really identify your passion. You know, um, what are your interests? What are your hobbies? Things that bring you joy. What topics or activities do you feel strongly about? So because understanding your passion is essential, as it will drive your motivation and commitment, throughout the entire ideation process. So you should start with your passion, and then you have to do some research and analysis. You have to do that for you to gain some deeper understanding of your passion, right? Explore related industries, trends, market demands, existing solutions, because this research will help you identify gaps, problems, or untapped opportunities within your passion area, right? After doing some research and analysis, you have to define your purpose. And I think this is one of the major reasons why a lot of entrepreneurs get lost along the way, because they have not identified their basically what I call the overarching purpose or mission behind your idea, right? So, for example, ask yourself, what positive impact do you want to create, right? What problems do you want provide solutions for, and then you have to consider the societal, environmental, and personal benefits that align with your passion, right? Because defining a clear purpose will guide your decision making and keep you focused on your goals, right? Next is, of course, the brainstorming and the generation of ideas. So there are so many brainstorming techniques that you can use to generate a wide range of ideas. But one of the biggest advice that I would like to impart is for them to write down all their ideas, right? So, regardless how you think that the ideas are feasible or practical, you have to write them down. Brainstorming is really the process of encouraging your brain to generate ideas, right? So brainstorming is crucial because this is when you really get to develop all these ideas, right? So very, very important. Now, write your ideas down because remember, we can forget things, right? In fact, if you, for example, don't want to write them down, or for some reason you you're not just into that, you are not the kind of person who likes to write down things. What you can do is probably record yourself, but it's very important to capture those ideas, while they are still there. So that's basically what I'm trying to just emphasize, so write them down or find a way to record them, right? Because ideas can be fleeting, right? They're there, and then the next second, they're not there again, right? So it's very important to capture them.
So the question is, I've already got this idea. I've already, woke up in my bed, super excited
Okay.
about putting it
Yeah.
down because it could potentially make me $1 million, right? How do I test that? How do I make sure that that's worth implementing?
Sometimes, right, the problem lies in the inability to generate ideas. But on the other side, it could also be a problem if you have, like you have so many ideas, and now you're having this some kind of a paralysis where you don't know which idea you'd like to take to the next level. So what I can advise them is first, they have to start with some kind of self reflection. They have to take time to reflect on their passions, their interests, and their skills. So they have to really identify what truly excites and motivates them, right? So they have to consider their strengths, their expertise, because not all ideas not all ideas really for you. Some of them may be too big for you to implement. So you have to have that kind of self reflection. Number two, they have to define, like, how should they prioritize all of these ideas. So, for example, they have to consider factors like market demand. Okay, remember we're discussing this in the context of business, right? So they have to consider factors like market demand or feasibility and alignment with their values, or resources that may be required to implement those ideas, potential impact, and of course personal fulfillment. So these criteria are very important because these will really guide them towards the one idea that they really would like to embrace and to bring on to the table for for further development. And then if they can do it, they can also do some kind of market research. They can also seek feedback from friends, from mentors, and then of course they have to consider, okay, what are my business goals and how all of these ideas align with those business goals, right? And then after that they can test and validate. So, and lastly, I would like to advise them to be adaptable and iterative. So because remember, ideas, actually everything evolve in time. So they have to be nimble. They have to be, they should adjust. They may have that one idea already, but they have to be aware of what's happening around them, so that they can adjust that idea, um, depending on what's happening in the market.
It really boils down to your knowledge on the topic or the subject or the area or the industry. So your knowledge, right? Your capacity to do. And if you don't know how to do, if you don't have the capital, the skills, the training, whatever other capacity components that you need to pull this off, if you don't have the capacity, you won't happen. So that's also key. And the last thing that I'm hearing too is alignment. And that's super important to me because it's something that I live by a lot, and I find myself saying it more and more these last days. So where it's like, okay, I'm done doing things that aren't aligned to my goal, or I'm not taking on anything that doesn't help me achieve that goal. I mean, of course, we all want to be good human beings, but I think the top of Maslow's hierarchy of needs is self-actualization, right? So everybody wants to get there, and I can get there quicker if I know what it is that I want to do. One thing that I wanted you to kind of unpack again for me is iteration, right? So you mentioned that the the entrepreneurs need to be iterative in their process, right? Explain to us, what is iteration and why they need to be iterative.
Iteration in the context of ideation and implementation of ideas that we are talking about here, it refers to the process of repeating and refining a concept or solution through successive cycles of testing, feedback, and improvements. So it involves taking an initial idea, right, implementing it on a small scale or in a what we call prototype form, gathering feedback and data, right, and using that feedback to basically make adjustments and refinements to the idea. So each iteration cycle builds upon the insights and learnings, from the previous cycle, resulting in an improved version of that idea. So, in short, iteration allows for continuous learning, adaptation, and optimization, ultimately increasing the chances of success and achieving the desired outcome.
Now, I'm looking at, say, a document because that's how I operate. I think everybody should. Anytime you have any projects, ideas, concepts, things that you want to do, you need to write it down. And I think that was one of the first things that Donald mentioned, right? So now that I've written it down, what's my next step? Like, how do I get from paper to real life?
Okay, I think very important to always test and then refine your ideas, right? So when you do that, right, you have to start with like some kind of a hypothesis, like a clear hypothesis, you know. So they have to define the assumptions underlying their idea. So, for example, if their idea intends to solve a certain problem, right? So they have to be very specific, like what kind of what specific problem they really want to solve, or what specific pain points of a certain group of customers that they want to address. So they have to be very specific because that will guide their testing efforts and provide a basis for evaluating the success or failure. Yeah, because remember, it's now time to test the idea. It's now the time where, how they say, the tire meets the road, so to speak,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Rubber hits the
right?
road. Hmm.
Yeah. So now, when they are in that process, so they have to be very conscious of what was their assumption before they adopted this idea,
Why they
because now
even
they're
got
in,
into it.
yeah, because they're now in the testing process, right? So another thing that they have to do is they have to define their success criteria. All right. So establish specific criteria or metrics that will indicate the success or effectiveness of their idea. For example, um, you mentioned about T-shirts, right? They can do some kind of they can establish some kind of feedback mechanism, right? Where they will be able to get initial feedback from their initial set of customers. Because remember, we are in the process of testing an idea. And normally you do that by creating some kind of a prototype, or what we call the minimum viable product. And then, so when they do that, they have to, say, for example, gather, sometimes they should gather friends first, or maybe an initial set of customers, and make them use their whatever prototype that they have, or MVP that they have, and then seek feedback. They have to analyze the whatever feedback that they got, whatever data that they got from that, right? And then again, we go back to the process of iteration, right? If there's a need to iterate, if there's a need to refine that idea, right, then this is the time to do that. You know, a lot of us, what we do is we have an idea and we just run with it, so to speak. We just implement it, right?
Hmm.
But what I'm saying is that it's best practice to first really test the idea, right? Maybe even conduct some experimentation and iterate. Like refine. Feedback, gathering feedback, analyze the data, and then iterate, refine, right? So it's just continuous testing and iteration, right?
Explain to us a little deeper. What is it? What is the MVP? What is the minimum viable product? Yeah, what does that mean? And how do entrepreneurs recognize that?
Yeah. So basically, MVP, or the minimum viable product, is some kind of a simplified version of your product or your service, or whatever process that capture the core features or the value proposition that you want to basically offer to the market. There are times that entrepreneurs taking so much time to implement their ideas, because what they want is to have the perfect idea, right? So, but then again, there are market realities, and the market doesn't wait for you, right? So the MVP would be that kind of product or service that you have in mind, but it's not the complete thing yet. The main purpose of that is to test it and to really iterate, right?
A lot of people that we talk to, especially potential clients, they have ideas, and really, it's a goal. Yeah, it's really a goal. So goals are here, MVPs are here, right? Minimum viable products are really just what you need to say you're doing. So take, for instance, in the same situation, in the same restaurant example, right? A minimum viable product would be making your tacos and testing them out in town, walking around with your little thing in your hand, like, hey, you want a taco? It's only $5. What you think? Tell me, give me a review, whatever. That's a minimum viable product. Yeah. And not necessarily the brick and mortar, the additional furniture and fixtures and all those nice things you see in the end, you know? So I always have to engage in the exercise of bringing it down. Oh, I love your idea. This is how you should start.
Yeah, you actually pointed out something there that's very critical, Kevin, and that is the idea of committing resources. So before you even think of committing like significant resources up front, you have to again have that kind of MVPs, or as we've been talking about, minimum viable products, to test
Mm-hmm.
it and to refine it, until such time that you are primed for the next stage of your business. So that's something that we have to recognize. It's sometimes it's not just all about just making it big one time. There are stages that you must go through, right, before you even hit that stage where you are, so to speak, market ready, or export ready. So one of those stages is basically you have something that's simplified, right? But you are still really not so sure that the idea you have is really the one that will solve the problem that you intend to solve, or the demand that you intend to serve.
How do you, as an entrepreneur, keep your mind focused? Keep your mind focused so that you can think critically, so that you can think creatively, so you can encourage others to think creatively.
That's why earlier I mentioned um, they have to do some kind of self reflection, because they also need to basically develop their own mission and vision statement. So um, there's always this notion that mission and vision statements are just for companies, right? But as an entrepreneur, you also have to be cognizant of, what is it really that you want to become, or what is that role that you really want to play in the society, because that mission and vision statement serves as some kind of a north star that will always keep you on the right path, so to speak. Right now, if you are, say, if you own a business already, right, and then you have employees with you, or even partners, one of the best things to really foster that kind of culture of innovation is to always lead by example, right? Because leadership plays a crucial role in shaping the culture of your small business. So if you, for example, tell them we have to be innovative, but then you yourself is not open to new ideas, then you are not doing it right. So I remember when we had our Green Innovations Summit this year, after 2 years, um, I told my staff that we have to list down the innovations that we will implement this year from 2 years ago, because I told them that we cannot name our summit Green Innovation Summit when we ourselves do not have any innovative ideas that we're going to implement this year or this edition. So lead by example. And then another thing is that they have to establish some kind of a safe and inclusive environment where employees or partners feel comfortable sharing their ideas without fear of judgment or criticism,
Correct.
right? So encourage open communication, active listening, and respect for diverse perspectives. No matter how, for example, quote unquote, crazy the idea is. That's actually how the name MadhausX came about because my staff would always say, but Mr. Bercasio, you madman. That idea won't work. So you madman. I was like, okay, mad. So I said, yeah, I'm probably mad, but it's not. It's some kind of madness that will help people. That's why I say my madness is exquisite madness, right? So encourage that, and then of course provide resources and supports, right? So ensure that your employees have access to resources, tools, and training necessary to foster creativity and innovation. Another thing is that you have to implement formal ideation process. So, for example, you can schedule regular brainstorming sessions. So maybe every Monday you can have that, or you can set up suggestion boxes. You have to allow cross-functional collaboration, Kevin. So, for example, um, you may want to really break that silos and allow, for example, the production team to really interact with your, say, marketing team or your sales team, right? Or maybe allow your production team to observe what's happening on ground while your sales team are selling your product in the market, right? And then if you can afford it, you can also recognize and reward creativity.
One thing that I would add that I didn't mention, that you didn't mention, but I think, I guess encapsulate all of them, really. It's just fostering the culture of curiosity. And I think it goes to you mentioning being able to allow sales to come into your marketing meeting and give ideas, give creative ideas. And I think if we just take the time to ask the extra question and be curious, I think you'll not only bring value for yourself from learning, but also value to the company. I think we can agree and we can get into it, about the importance of your target market, understanding who they are, understanding their profile, where do they eat, where do they go, what kind of information that they consume, So telling why it's important.
Yeah. So remember, Kevin, these days, right? The market is so segmented already, right? So gone are the days when like the entire family sit down in front of a television set, one TV, and they just there watch it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then they seeing the ads and all of them liking the ad, and basically all of them just want to have that particular soft drink or bread or whatsoever. Right now, every member of the family, right? They now have their own like preferences, right? So my point is that, right? As an entrepreneur, one thing that you have to accept is that you cannot be everything to everybody, right? It's quite impossible to try to serve everybody. Number one, you have limited resources, right? Number two, you yourself is limited when it comes to your time, your skills, your capability. So it's very important for you to really identify your target market. So when you select a segment, right? You when you target a segment, you really have to know them in a very very deep way, right? So it's not just about the demographics, the age, or where they are. You have to really look into their personhood, so to speak, their humanity, so to speak, right? So it's very important because that again would serve as some kind of guide to you in all aspects of your business, whether it's ideation, whether it's creating marketing campaigns, or whether it's all about developing new products, or even even how you caption your, say, your social media posts. It's very important for you to know who your target market is.
In a family situation where everybody was exposed to, the same commercials and experiences, it has segmented up to where every every member of that family has at least two or three distinct channels, communication channels to reach them. Just them. If you can really define your target market, it will really determine how you reach out, how often you reach out, with what kind of information. Because creating a customer avatar is one of the ways of understanding your target market. So just to break down avatar, that's just a way of saying a profile. But it is a profile that represents your target market.
Kevin, what if you just say do things without rhyme and reason. In marketing, we usually, and you know this, we usually call that the shotgun approach,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Without rhyme and reason, without logical,
Mm,
grounding, so to speak. But
yeah.
one thing I'd like to emphasize, Kevin, is when they do segmentation, right? They really have to look into the psychographic segmentation, right? So when you do psychographic segmentation, right, it's basically a way where you break down your customer groups into segments that influence buying behavior. So, for example, you can segment them or group them based on their beliefs, based on their values, their lifestyle, their social status, their opinions, and then their activities. Because remember, two, say for example, 40 years old may have totally different lifestyles, right? They may have totally different, set of values and beliefs, right? Or they may have totally different opinions on things. So you cannot target them just because both of them are both 40-year-old or 50-year-old, right? So when you try to target them, it's not just about the age, right?
I just feel that if we as entrepreneurs took the time to really get into some of these nitty-gritties, we would be a lot more successful further along in our entrepreneurial journey.
So Kevin, if you are, for example, someone who would like or who is thinking of becoming an entrepreneur, right? And you are overwhelmed with all the things that you need to do, to become one. One thing again, I'm that the person can do is to do some kind of self reflection, right? The person really needs to determine if this is really what the person wants to do, right? Because being an entrepreneur is not a walk in the park, right?
Right?
There will be a lot of struggles, challenges, and more struggles and challenges. That's one thing. Number two, for both, if both non-entrepreneurs and entrepreneurs, you really have to look into your passion, right? You have to really identify what are the things that you are really passionate about, because once you are passionate about something, right, it will just be easier for you, right? You will be able to handle challenges and struggles easier if you are passionate about something that you are pursuing, right? Number three, they have to seek advice, right? There are so many um, people out there that they can approach, starting with their family, friends, right? Or institutions like the NDFD, where they can come here and basically just share their business ideas, and even whatever whatever internal struggles that they have, or questions that they have. So they should not be afraid to reach out to people that whom they think can give them good advice, right? And again, lastly, Kevin, they have to remember the idea of prototype and MVPs, right? Try that idea that you have in a small scale, right? And see how it goes, see how it pans out, and then again, always write down how you feel, uh, write down you have experience when you first implemented or rolled out that idea in the market, and then again go back and then analyze, right? That's basically what I would like to advise them. Seeking those quiet moments, those are very important. Sometimes, as entrepreneurs, as thinkers or creatives, we'd like to just keep on moving around, and thinking and just moving around. But what is always for me underestimated is the power of solitude, the power of being alone and just there, really analyzing the data, reflecting, doing some kind of self-reflection, and really determining if this is really what I want to do, or if the idea I have is the one that I really, really would like to pursue.
So I mean, I think that's perfect. I don't think that entrepreneurship is for everybody, but I do think that mentorship is for everybody. And that seems to be a very big theme on this season, right? As we talking to entrepreneurs, spoken to a few people, and key to the interview is always find a mentor. Find somebody who has done it, preferably within your field, but you can also gain insight from other fields. Find someone who's done it, who you admire, who's doing it how you would like to do it, and just approach them and have a conversation. Mentorship is an open relationship between someone, a senior person and a junior person, just to allow them to get that advice, get that insight, and not fall into the same traps that they do. If anybody would like to reach out to you, Donald, like what would be the best place to reach you at?
Well, I mean, I'm always there at the NDFD, so they can always come here, right? Not just talk not just to me, but to anyone here. Everybody here is willing um, to have that conversation with any aspiring entrepreneur or existing an entrepreneur who may have some questions.
Mhm.
Also, they can just go and look for Madhouse Consulting on Facebook, Instagram, and very recently on Threads.
Donald, thank you very much for your time. We really, really appreciate you coming out for this show. For now, thank you very much, Donald, and I hope to see you next time.
Thank you very much, Kevin. And I just would like to really big you up. This is an amazing program, and I just wish you the best. And I wish you more successes. You know that gone a long way, and I'm truly and sincerely very happy for you and very proud of you. So, big up, my brother.
Thank you very much, Donald.